Alright everyone, it's time to talk about Biden's symbolic ban on Xinjiang forced labor exports. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. I think it's Xinjiang, but who gives a shit? It's meaningless. The ban on the products is meaningless, China will whine a little bit, and then they'll just start earmarking the products as having come from elsewhere. What's this particular Uyghur Muslim forced labor concentration camp economy famous for? Cotton. Raw materials, cotton and certain other crops. We're not talking about, hey, they smelt the ingots there and they're locally branded. We're not talking about, there's no law in China where they have to say that the bag of rice is stamped made in Xinjiang. They can just relabel it. China does this all the time, dude. They sell little plastic pellets as fake rice from time to time in low-rent markets around the world. Do you think that not capable of hiding where a goddamn bale of cotton came from? You think that they're actually locally manufactured into anything more than the most raw of textiles anyway? Fuck that shit. They're all manufactured in Shanghai and places closer to the coast, where you've got an industrial class that goes beyond a bunch of farmers. And these are slaves, by the way. I love it when Biden's like, forced labor in these camps. It's not forced labor, it's slavery. Why don't you use the real term? It's for politically correct purposes. Of course, Nike, now they'll have to pay 10 cents more per shoe or something like that because the Chinese government will say, well, we're really, really sorry, but now we have to repackage these, a few miles outside of this province. Because then it's been packed elsewhere. It's now no longer subject to the ban. So yeah, buy all of our cotton, ship it to some other country, to Vietnam or Bangladesh, and they'll turn it into cheap shit, and then they'll ship it to the US. Well, it's fine. They're never going to find out where it was manufactured. This is symbolic. Here's the thing. Joe Biden is controlled partially by China. His name should be East Bloc Biden, Beijing Biden interchangeably. His son did all sorts of dirty shit in China. They have loads of blackmail on him, which is why legacy media had to circle the wagons with regards to the Hunter Biden laptop story. The Chinese probably have more blackmail than that. Biden doesn't want to get fucked in the ass. He also, by the way, doesn't want to cripple the world economy and cause economic problems in the U.S. by having China screw around with things more because we import a huge amount of Chinese products, a problem that is unique to the United States due to the massive outsized importation of these goods, although we export a lot of food to China. Keep in mind that one of these things is necessary for survival. Food or little plastic doodads that idiots go to Dollar General to buy. You should boycott all Chinese products. You'd be surprised at how easy that actually is. If you're not in the United States. Here, there aren't many Chinese products actually. Vast majority of them are made right in Europe. Anyway, the ban is useless. You're talking about some raw materials that can be repackaged. A small proportion of the output of China that would affect the United States anyway. Very small. You're not even using the proper term, which is, hey, the slaves you've got in your fucking gulags over there, we don't support that sort of thing. It's like the United States has no problem with slavery. Look at Libya. Look at Haiti. Biden didn't want to be a total hypocrite. So it won't do anything. It's completely symbolic. Beijing Biden is never going to do anything meaningful in regards to tackling China, but this shouldn't surprise us. It's not just Biden. He may be Beijing Biden, but you also had Shanghai Hillary and a million other people. Has the U.S. government ever made any significant overtures other than bitching in front of the UN, sending strongly worded letters, or trotting out politicians to complain on CNN and Fox News? Have they done anything else with regards to Chinese organ harvesting? Human trafficking networks, especially through Vietnam and the Philippines and China. There are millions of slaves in China. Few of them are actually Chinese. Child labor. Child prostitution. The fact that they boil eggs in little boys' piss and consider it medicinal is completely overlooked. Gutter oil. Gutter oil doesn't just get absorbed in China. It gets exported. How many quality honey? Adulterated honey. Not sourced from China, but packaged in China. Yeah, it's 50% corn syrup. But it'll take the U.S. inspectors 6 months to find out, and by then all the honey has sold because we're offering it a lower price, and people don't want to pay $20 for their jar of honey when they can pay $5, and they feel perfectly happy about that. That's why, by the way, you should never buy any honey that isn't locally sourced. I don't even mean nationally sourced. If it says made in the USA, that doesn't mean jack shit anymore. Buy local. Hey, this is from Vermont flowers. Specifically from this farm. You can go visit it. You can see the fucking flowers. You can see the fucking bees. That's how to do it. Will you spend more? Yeah. Will you not fuck your body up in the process? Yeah. I'd say that's a fair trade-off. Short-term pain, really long-term gain. Boycott every goddamn thing from China. It's all tainted with carcinogens from top to bottom. They take trash and stuff it in toys and export that to the U.S. That was a big story a couple years ago. Some of it was massively toxic with cadmium. The U.S. doesn't do anything. They just say, okay, well, you can't import this toy. This company is on our naughty list this year. For the next 6 months, you have to comply with inspectors. So fucking what? They'll move the product out. Inspectors come in. There's nothing wrong here. Green stamp of approval. They leave. They bring the tainted cadmium bullshit back in. What about their constant warmongering? China now is constantly warmongering after Taiwan. Not in the old sense of just saying, well, Taiwan is technically ours. No, more like, hey, we could fire on you at any moment. They also do this to their other neighbors. There are border skirmishes with India, which claims to be neutral in the situation. India is leaning more towards the West now, which is a good thing. Pakistan and India and Pakistan form that trifecta over a vast swath of arable land, and they're always killing each other over it. Certainly Nepal, to an extent at times. Vietnam, especially in the aquatic sense, they're constantly trying to claim the whole South China Sea, including waters that are explicitly within the pre-agreed upon internationally recognized territorial waters of all of their neighbors. By the way, the East Bloc commie people like Maupin will never acknowledge this fact. China does all of these things and more. It fudges its currency numbers. It meddles with its trade totals. It meddles with investors. It tries to pressure Western firms to violate the constitutional spirit of Western civilization through pressure through their investments. It's the list goes on, and they're commies, at least on paper. The list goes on and on. No meaningful result has ever occurred because of this. No meaningful attempt at reining in any of these things. Any of these things has been made by the Western governments because they're all invested in China or their donors are invested in China. Every goddamn one of them pretty much. So they don't say anything. So why should I believe that this largely symbolic, minuscule, pitsant little nonsense bill, this one declaration about one province in China, one specific part of that province's economy that is extremely easy to repackage for cents on the dollar anyway, still undercutting U.S. cotton or anything like that, why would I believe that this will make any meaningful impact at all? All Biden has done is give China a chance to ramble and make a little bit more propaganda about the big bully U.S., which this is anything but bullying, but this will be effective when they're broadcasting it on loudspeakers in Kabul, and how the United States is evil and China's the good guy in the world. And by the way, hey, we'll give you some free rice and we'll give you a free rail line. All you have to do is suck our cock for the rest of eternity. And then we'll come in eventually and say, well, there are enough Chinese people there. This is now part of China. By the way, this is effectively what Russia's preparing to do in Ukraine. You think Biden will do anything about that either? When he says you'll face big consequences if you invade Ukraine. Bullshit! He already did that under Obama. And Obama didn't do anything. Obama was at least competent in the mental sense. Way more than Biden. Less controlled than Biden. I don't think that Obama's kids were fucking around with Chinese investments. Considering I think at the time they were like 3 and 2 years old or something. He didn't have that problem. He had latitude with regards to China, which is why they stiffed him on his last official visit to add insult to injury. They won't do that to Beijing Biden. Oh, they'll roll out the carpet for him and tell him what a great guy he is, even while he pretends to threaten them. Because he's goddamn completely under their control and the control of a donor class that is in turn allied with China. That's about all. Peace out.